Hi everybody and welcome to another episode of Getting to Professional Member. I'm Warwick Merry, CSP, your host for this evening. And it's a delightful evening here in Melbourne on October. And tonight we're basically talking about how do we get the numbers? How do we get the sales? Because to get to Professional Member, you need to be, and we're just having a quick chat, you need to generate $50,000 worth of speaking income, be that from a speaking fee or from speaking related income where that invoice is given and paid within the week after the event. It's all just to make sure that we are having professional speakers come on board. So tonight is all about how do we get the money? Well, how do we make the sale? How do we add value to the sale that we're giving? So knowing that we've done, and we've got a couple of new people on the call this evening, but also knowing that we have done other events and had other sessions all about sales, rather than me pontificating and telling you things you probably already know, I wanted to start by just opening with some questions about where is it that you're struggling with a particular sale, or is it a particular sales approach, or is it a high value thing? Are you doing open programs and you don't know how to get bums on seats? So I just wanted to start with a bit of an open program, with open questions on what are your challenges, and that can then dictate the conversation that we have. So if anyone has a burning question that they've got that they want to start with, now would be the time. No.
Getting paid to speak.
Getting paid to speak. So when you say that, it's you can get the gig, but they won't pay you. Is that what you're saying?
So I'm in Brisbane.
Yep.
Last month I got paid $1,000 by the Queensland Law Society to speak at their local event.
Yep.
I'm speaking to the CPA in Brisbane next month, but they're not paying for speakers for their state event.
Yep.
So I've chosen to speak for free.
Yep.
So I find I'm speaking to innovation networks at Microsoft, but they don't pay speakers. So there's a lot of opportunities to speak where I can showcase myself,
yep,
but I don't get paid. And
yep,
my goal is to be that good that I'll get invited by someone in the audience to come and get a paid speaking gig. But getting traction from that process takes time.
And there's no doubt about it. There's a number of speaking gigs that you need to do for free. Part of it is it's a great opportunity to hone your presentation. And part of it also is, as you say, to get exposure. But let's be honest, exposure bucks don't pay the bills. And there comes a time when it's like, righto, I've got to draw a line in the sand. And it can be challenged, but particularly for associations, because they don't have a great deal of money. So what you then need to look at is, what can I do that generates money when I speak for the free gigs? And naturally people straight away go, oh, I'll write a book, or I'll have a CD, and sometimes when you start out though, you don't have that stuff. So that's when you sell someone else's product. So for example, if you've got someone else in your network who you respect and they've got some messaging that's very similar to what you're talking about, and it may even be someone who you don't know, but if you can buy the books wholesale or have an affiliate arrangement with them, when you're speaking, part of the condition of speaking is I can speak for free, but I've got to have at least 5 minutes when I can flog my stuff or promote something, or maybe you need to start running webinars and start selling them at $49 a head so that you can start with it. And all you need is 20 people to turn up to that, and all of a sudden there's $1,000. So it becomes, it's okay to speak for free, but you've got to have the opportunity to get people to buy stuff. And the way to get payment on the day is to say, this price is only for today. So you have it out on the internet as it's $1,000, but today only it's $300 or whatever it is, so that you're really focused on putting the pressure on to actually getting that sale happening on the day. Because it's even if you're a professional speaker, you want to make sure that you are getting paid well in advance. Because I know for me, with my invoices, to book me, you got to pay 50%, and that secures the date. And then the other 50% gets paid 2 weeks before I step on your stage. There are exceptions to the rule, but pretty much if I'm not paid in full, I don't step on the stage. So, but when you're starting out, you really want to make sure that you have something to offer. And, and so, for example, this book that I wrote, I've specifically, if you look at the cover, it says it's worth, I don't know if you can see that, it's worth $35. And I specifically did that so that when I sell it for $20, people go, oh my goodness, I'm getting such a discount. But I have wholesaled that to other speakers for about $10 or $15 so that they can then sell it for $20, $25 and make $10 a book. So while you might have a zero speaking fee, you can always sell a product/service. And nowadays with webinars, even though the format we're using now, this version of Zoom is not really webinar software. Zoom does have a webinar software, which costs a whole lot more. But you could run a webinar using this, and you could use Eventbrite as a front end to manage it. And once they've bought a ticket, they get sent the registration link like you've clicked on today for very minimal cost. And it's a percentage of what they're paying, or try booking or whatever, and set up the emails, etc. So don't speak for free. You might not get a payment for it, but you want to make sure you're looking at how can I earn revenue from it.
I've got a question about the 1 week grace period for signing people up after a talk.
Yep.
So I've got 3 examples. I spoke to the Queensland Horse Society and landed a coaching client who paid me $15,000, but that sales process from speaking to closing the deal was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't qualify.
So what you need to do is, if you have any query from that, because sometimes if you're talking a 15 grand kind of deal, that takes time. They're not going to just do it like that. But the impetus has come from that presentation.
Yes. So I got a
professional salesperson. So you can always send an email to head office and say, please pass this on to the accreditation chair, querying saying, this is what I did, this is the amount, because it was so big and it's government, it took a 3-week time period. Can that be allowed? They may say no, but give them an opportunity. They might say yes and say, is a one-off, we will include this. So the whole intent is not to, you've got to follow the rules or you're out. It's like, we don't want it to be, 2 years later they signed up. So ask the question, and just all you got to do is send an email to admin@professionalspeakers.org.au and address it to be forwarded on to the accreditation chair, and then they will manage it from there. And then you'll get a response relatively quickly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, I'm doing the math here. I'm looking at probably $35,000 worth of coaching that has come from speaking engagement, but the sales cycle has been up to 2.5 months after the appearance.
So ask the question. Ask the question, because it's like, the fact that you're coaching, that doesn't count, but the fact that you've sold it from speaking, that can count, but it is the time frame. So, and there is, while there's a guideline, there is some flexibility, but ask the accreditation chair, because they're the one who are making the decision.
Okay. Who's that?
You don't need to know, because basically we don't want them bombarded. So you just set it to the head office, and they'll send it to the accreditation chair, and it changes as well. So there might be, in between. And it's, it's like all things, it's best that they remain a little bit anonymous.
Thank you, Mr. Accreditation Chair.
That's a pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, Warwick.
Hi, Trish.
Hey, everybody. If I can go back to the previous question, sorry, I've just got, there's a lot of running water noise on somebody.
Oh yeah, that's right. I can fix that.
The bottom left is the mute button for everybody. If, like, my dog usually barks at some point, so I'll have it on mute when I'm not speaking. Getting back to the previous question, where you were talking about speaking for free, the second part of that question is, and what I've struggled with is identifying places that do actually pay. Because when you're searching for conferences, the ones that are advertised as conferences and that you find, they very often are about non-payment or about promotion. And look, that's fine. But if I'm looking for places where I can actually charge them, do you tend to look for actual companies themselves? I mean, I know, I don't mean your MC work, because all functions need MCs, I guess. But I waste a lot of time, approaching places and finding out, oh yeah, but it's not paid, or it's not really, but identifying the ones that do.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
so,
I'm looking in.
And that's a great question, Trish. So what you've got to do is work backwards and look at, okay,
Who are they?
what am I talking about, and who wants to hear me? Who are the kind of organisations that need the message I've got? Sorry, not need, want. Because there are many who need, but they're not prepared, but who want it. And then calling them up and saying, great, I've got this message. What conferences do your members go to, or do your team, or and they might be able to tell you. So it might not be that company, they might do it in-house, but it may well be they go to different conferences. So for you, whether it's security, I was recently hosting the fraud awards, and so there's some internal stuff where they talk about fraud. So
Who did the biggest rip-off?
Yeah, it's a weird name. It's the fraud awards, but it's really those who prevent fraud. So whether it's that kind of stuff, whether it's corporate directors for your subject matter, talking to directors associations or large corporates, whether it is contacting university MBA organisations and saying, your MBA students need to be aware of certain risks, and et cetera, et cetera. And they've got money, and you just say, look, this is the value. It's all about value. How can I present the value that they've really got to hear? And for you, it's like, hey, I've got information that will keep them out of jail. And they might appreciate
and the challenge that I've faced, and I'm actually even questioning how I lead what I have now, because I don't want to spend the next 10 years being known as the woman who went to jail. I'm getting pretty much over that. I'd rather it be about the value that I bring, and the reason that it's valuable is because I had that experience. So I'm re-looking at everything that I'm doing, whether it be about fraud or about resilience and so on. But once again, the markets that I would normally have targeted, like finance and so on, there's an attitude from them that they don't need that, because they're the ones who do not so much now that we've had the banking inquiry, but prior to that, there was a real, almost like a snootish kind of a superiority about it, that, you're the opposite of what we do. So,
correct.
And so I've had trouble packaging, and it's put me off even approaching them.
So, and it becomes a challenge. There was someone I was talking to about ethics. And they're like, you can't sell ethics, because the first thing a company has to do is admit that they're not ethical.
Exactly.
So the first thing, so they're just like, no, we're ethical. We don't need you. So it becomes that it is resilience, or it is risk management, or impact minimization, brand management, that kind of stuff, or personal brand management. So whether it's looking at focusing on those kind of areas and looking at organizations who use that. And look, don't get me wrong, it's a challenge, because people don't sort of put comments on their LinkedIn profile saying, hey, we need help with resilience. No one does that.
Because no one wants to admit being weak.
Correct.
Or needing to need it.
Correct. So whether it becomes that strength as a woman, there's a lot of focus on, at the moment, big focus on, Me Too movement, female, that kind of stuff. So whether it's like, and while your core topic will stay the same, it's about the packaging that you put it in and present it with.
Look, it is. And once again, the whole women's thing, I have yet to find a women's conference or event that actually paid the speakers.
Correct.
So, that's what I'm looking for is, okay, who pays and whether we're a good match, and finding who pays. And
I know for me, what I'm doing is I'm trawling a lot of LinkedIn and looking at event organizers within companies. So it's not event organizers in general, but looking at, okay,
within
what are the kind of industries, and whether they like it or not, finance industries are yours. So if you can pick a finance industry with a title of event, and I just put event because you'll get event director, event organizer, and that kind of stuff. So you can then have a look at that.
Right.
Lisa's just put a comment saying that when she started saying no to free speaking, her business shot up. If they want you, they'll find a budget. So if people ask you to speak for free saying thanks very much, that's not how I operate. You know, my fee for speaking is this. And people will say, oh, we're not for profit. And you say, great, but I am. And so, you know, it's what you're saying no to makes an impact, but it's still like I'm saying no to a lot and there's still no money coming in. So
the caterers don't do it for free, do they?
Sorry?
The caterers don't do it for free.
Caterers and venue do not do it for free. They might do a discount, they might do a deal, but they never do it for free. And Lisa has a free, she said she's got a free speaking strategy. So you might want to get in touch with Lisa outside this because we're chewing up time rapidly. But yeah, so it is a matter of looking at, okay, and LinkedIn's a good way to look at because you can get the titles of people with events and start by, rather than connecting with them, nothing I hate more than LinkedIn than connecting and then saying, hey, buy my stuff, you know. But if it's connecting and then saying, hey, here's something of value you might like, and here's an article I've written, here's some key things my clients have said that they're great. So you're providing them value before going for a sale. It's what did Gary Vee calls it? It's like jab, 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 right hook or something. I don't know. But it is about how do you make connections with those kind of people. So, yeah, Angela, you had something that you had a question?
Yes, okay. Months ago, I contacted a different organization regarding a guest speaker, but I was told, even as a guest speaker, I cannot really sell things directly. But I told them I am working on as a platform speaker, so I can talk for free, but you need to allow me to sell my products. Yeah, but they don't like kind of a hard sell.
Yeah.
They mention that, but I don't think that's the value I can get. So I actually just ran my events in Sunnybank yesterday, the Queen's birthday, and the people still popping. And I actually got 4 agents want to cooperate with me. So the deal is that's one supposed to do it. He asked for 50%. So now every agent, I give them 15%. So they will put me in the corporate or their community, even the Queensland the woman leader, president. Yeah. So that's the deal I am going to do. Yeah, I think that's the transaction because I position not a keynote speaker. Yeah, from now on, I position as a platform speaker. So I sell my program. The program is also over 10 grand at least.
Yeah.
10 grand, 20 grand, cover 1 year service. Then what I like you mentioned is use Events Brighter because I use my website and found out the system have an issue and over 15, at least 15 people and sign up and got the thank you page, but I didn't get all the message. But if you use Events Brighter, it's a cheaper way. I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. So what you need to do if you're speaking somewhere and they're like, we don't speak for free, but you can't sell, you don't do it. Like, because there's no value for you. But the issue is, and this is something that is of value to everyone, organizations are very protective of their members, as they should be. PSA is exactly the same. We hate it when people come on and do a hard sell flog. It's not nice. And as an individual, I hate it. So what you want to do is make sure that the organization you're talking to feels safe and just say, and let them know saying, I don't do a hard sell. I take a couple of minutes at the end and I make an offer. Then it's up to us to learn some of the skills to be able to weave in the sale. Paul McCarthy is brilliant at doing this, and he wrote an ebook. And get in touch with him if you're interested.
What's his name?
Paul McCarthy is his name. Just go to paulmccarthy.com.au, I think is his, or just Google Paul McCarthy Rockstar Marketer. And he has an ebook on how to do selling from the stage. And it's about, having your product so they can see it and mentioning some of the key lessons and saying, oh yeah, that's in the book. And then at the very end saying, look, you've talked about it a couple of times, but this is available. Come and see me in the back. So it's not a hard sell. I think, I've seen some people who have got an hour spot. They might speak for 10 minutes and then sell for the rest of the time. You need to make sure that who you're speaking for feels very comfortable with you, and that you're not doing a hard sell. It's a really delicate balance.
I do agree. I think that when I talk with them, I didn't find the right words. But yesterday when I talk really in a way, make they engage quite good. That's why I got 4 agents. yeah, I change the tune, soften.
Yeah, and it's just soft and subtle, and it becomes that, not that hard sell, because people don't want it, and it becomes an opportunity so that people can easily opt in or opt out. So that's one of the things that you can do in terms of doing that product or that value added sell. So the key thing to do, and we've done, and if you go to the vault, you'll see there's some great sessions that we had where Jenny Cartwright was talking about telephone sales. Winston Marsh was talking about some great sales idea, lower numbers, but more frequently locally, which is cool. And there were some other sales sessions that we ran as well. So check those out and make sure you get some value out of that. But one of the key things that I found is there's people talk about social media at the moment and how social media is a great way to, get exposure, blah, 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 blah. But and they're like, it's free, and they're so focused on the free that they're wasting so much time on social media versus going, what's my strategy? Social media is good support. It is that community evidence. The other thing that's really important is get on the phone, identify who your key, and people talk about their avatar, who is the kind of person that you want, who is your ideal client. Identify who that is, what sort of organization. And you want to niche down. It's very easy to go, I could speak to anyone about everything, but you want to niche down and get the right niche for you and your product or your service, and find out who that key person is and go deep. So maybe it is, Trish, as an example, maybe it is just finance. And Nikki, I'm not sure of your topic, but maybe there's a niche that's for you, and looking at who's got the money, who's willing to pay, and basically really connect with those kind of people. So you can reach out on LinkedIn. My humble advice would be get off anything but LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is where business is done. Unless you've got big active networks, but it's everything else just sort of seems to struggle. Hang on, I'm just putting Paul McCarthy.com. I think that's his address. Hang on. I'm just typing something at the same time. My brain doesn't multitask. I am only a male, but I will get there eventually. Try that as a web address. It really is about really committing to what you're doing in the target market that you're doing it for, and then finding those people. And it may well be that you'll do a lunch and learn for them, or you'll add, rather than reducing price, I like to add value. So if it's like, hey, come and do a keynote, I'll do a webinar for you afterwards, or I'll do a lunch and learn, or I'll do a 2-minute video to get people excited about the event beforehand, or I'll have you on as a guest on my podcast, or maybe you'll find out who's got a good podcast in your target market, and then contact them and say, hey, look, I've got a great message that your listeners will love. I'd be really interested in being on your podcast. I know I've been contacted lately by a couple of, because I run a Get More Success podcast, Get More Success show, and a few people out of the States have got no idea who they are, but they've been approached me saying, oh yes, we talk about success and we'd love to be on your show. And I'm great, saves me looking for additional people. I got no idea who these people are. You get a one-pager, so you get an idea. But it's the kind of thing that, there's one guy's website, he's listed all the podcasts he's been on. And again, they could be random podcasts that get no listeners, but it's that credibility. So it's looking at how do I build that credibility for it. And it can be looking at, for some of you who might run open programs, and Lisa, I know you do open programs as well. It is about looking at how do I get more people in the door. So if it is, bring a friend at half price, or do some kind of pricing deal where you can still make some good margin without sort of reducing the impact that you're having. So at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. And I know one thing that really helps me is having the conversation right up front when I'm prospecting, and having that conversation is I'll say to them, hey, look, I do a lot of repeat business, and the way I'll know I'm a success for you is if you invite me back next year. So I plant that seed that it's not just a one-off. We do this multiple times. That's more for my emceeing. For some of my speaking stuff, it's just, I get they've had me this year, they might not want me next year. So I let them know, look, I've got multiple topics. And some people have found that if they had me 1 year on one topic and another year on another topic, it really consolidates the message and they can trust the people on the show, blah, 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 blah. So it's all about selling some of those messages right up front and looking at, lifetime value of the customer. And as well as having the conversation as I grow my business by referral, and if you're happy with it, I will be asking you at the end for 2 or 3 names of people who book speakers like me. So it is that, how do I turn 1 sale into 3 sales every single time, and continuing to grow that sales base. As we're talking previously, we've got 3 months to the end of the year, but I saw some meme today going, it's October, it's more or less next year, give up on your dreams for this year and wait until January. And I laughed at that, because I know many people will follow that path, but it's like, that's not what we're about. It's like, we got 3 months to get to member. What do you need? How do you need help to get there? Do you need someone who is senior within PSA to help you? Be it me, be it the board, be it other CSPs in your chapter. What do you need? Is there someone else who speaks in your space who has a similar message? Can you joint venture with them and say, hey, I'd love to be speaking at the same place as you do after you. So as part of your deal, can you refer me in for next year's speaker, and I'll do the same for you? Can we do a joint venture thing where the 2 of us are on the stage? Or we can, whenever you go to an event, saying, hey, you might need someone like Trish Jenkins or Angela Wilson to come and speak from stage. Looking at some of the ways that you can shortcut that sales cycle, because you'll never be as more attractive to a speaker. You'll be never as attractive to a client from that time that when you've signed on the dotted line, they've agreed to have you, and just before the event, because that's when they're excited about you and they trust you, and they'll be like, oh, we're trying to get some other people. Who do you know? Or they might be saying, we're really excited about the event. You might say, great, who else have you got? I know some really cool people who have a similar message who can really add value. So why wouldn't you track those people down and see if you can't do some kind of arrangement, whether it be a financial commission, either way, who knows? And it may well be just, the people, someone else that you really click with and you like their style and they like yours. And it's a way that you can shortcut the sales cycle, because I don't know about you, but it's getting harder and harder to go through the sales cycle. There's more and more speakers, because you don't need, all you need is a computer and an internet connection, and you're an internet celebrity and you are an authority, and you can write a blog and put it on your web page or put it on Blogger. You can put videos on YouTube, and all of a sudden you're someone of note. And there is a ton of people who will happily speak for free out there. So it's, how do you stand out? How do you stand above them? And it's being professional. It is having the systems before and after. So they're the key messages that I really wanted to get across this evening. Does anyone else have any questions? You're all muted at the moment, so just unmute yourself and let me know. But if anyone else has any questions that they have about how do I get the sale through, what are some of the things? Trish?
Just about if we don't get to that qualification by the end of the year and we're out and we're, it's definitely worthwhile to continue coming. We will no longer have access to those videos that we're going through now, like what we're doing now, will we? Or would there still be some sort of resource for people still on their way to doing that? That's
a very good question, and one that I have not thought of.
Because I was actually thinking, Warwick, of, see, the links lead to YouTube pages, because I go through them, because it's good for the repetition.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can save those links to a document so I can revisit them. But I was thinking it would be helpful to have access to some of those not everything, because that's what the professional speakers pay for.
Yep.
But if we're not quite at that level yet, so we've missed out on the the 50K cutoff.
Yep.
To have something that helps us to continue to strive to get there.
And look, it's uncharted territory, and I've spoken to the board, and we're really committed to getting everyone we can there, and it's not going to happen overnight. So that's a really good point, and it's not one that I'd thought of. I'm not sure if the board are considering it, but you will always be welcome in any event, even if it is as a guest. But in terms of access to the resources, don't know, I will raise it, in particular the Vault, in particular this series. So there's no reason. I don't mean
everything, because the resources are there for the people who are paid up members.
For sure, but there's no reason that we can't to my mind, and again, the board will have to decide, but there's no reason that we can't make at least the getting to member resources available. I'm sure there'll be an easy way to do that. So let me raise that and get back to the people getting professional members as a group.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
No worries at all. Nikki.
Yeah, quick one, Warwick. I mean, I'm very new. I only joined up a month or so ago.
Hooray.
At the recommendation of Lisa McInnes-Smith, actually.
Yep.
And then as I joined up, realised that associate was ending. And apologies if this is a repetition for other people, but I'm interested in the rationale behind that decision, and then what the proposal is for people who aren't. Is the intention that those people are simply out of the club completely, or is there a pathway being put in place, or what's the deal?
Basically, the move behind it was to raise the professionalism of the association, and in particular because it really was about making sure that a lot of our events, and there are some events that are for more senior people. Such as the platform professional summits.
Yep.
Making sure that it's people who are on who are committed to the association and the industry to keep working at it. We have had some affiliates who have been affiliates for many years and have made no effort to move forward. So this was sort of brought in to help inspire them to move forward. As I said, anyone is welcome to come as a guest, but the online resources and the platform professional events and some of the other events will be for members only. Mm-hmm. It's not ideal. We're trying to make it as ideal as we can. We have had teething issues, but we're at this stage where we are definitely committed to doing it. And we extended the time frame for people to get to member. And this series, the Getting to Member series, of which there is about 18 different videos that we've put together, was designed to sort of help people get to that membership level.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you set up a scheme where it's just time bounded? You can be an associate member for a maximum of 3 years or something, and then if you haven't made it to member by then, you just revert to guests. So take me, for example. This is brand new for me, and I'm like 3/4 of the way through a course at Speakers Institute, so I haven't even really attempted to go out and earn significant sums of money yet, because I'm still pulling all of that together. So I'm going to now be precluded from being a member and be a guest just before I've even started.
Yeah, great question. And we have tried some of those things. They haven't worked. And so, again, it was just going, okay, we wanted to have an association that was for the professionals, and the resources provided were for the professionals. People who are interested and want to become part of it, come along. We are not and have never professed to be an association for training people how to speak. So people will go to organisations like the Speakers Institute and many others that are out there. And we do provide some services like our Boost program, which is about how to build a business, a speaking business. So it is more about how do we build that speaking business. So we have tried other ideas, and this is the latest incantation of stuff that we're trying. So.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, that's where I've been thinking about where I fit in it. And one of the reasons that I haven't got close to the 50K is because I've realised, looking at what I do, that the majority of what I do is ministry. So when you're in that field, in my culture, within the culture, it's very much about, $500 is a big pay for a Sunday morning for a small church. Or sometimes it's just they pass around the bucket, it's called a love offering. And, I don't want to stop doing that, but it's like, you get so much energy to place into one and then into the other.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, I don't know if it's the equivalent of charity stuff, because you still get paid. In fact, some places I've got paid more doing that than I have, with the sort of fees that people might want to pay. And sometimes it's been bigger. But you know, I'm going to do my best to do what I can in the secular speaking, but I've just had to accept, well, you know, where is my heart going? What am I called to do?
Yeah.
And it is both, but the emphasis is, I've had to realize it's not quite so much about the money.
Yeah.
Even though it needs to be.
And that's fair. And it's, so for us, you know, we're professional speakers, meaning you get paid. And aligned, we did some research. I looked around and it's like, what would be a fair amount to say, okay, this person's a professional. And that's what we chose.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Lisa asked the questions about the USA, UK, and also in Singapore and other places have a speakers academy. We had speakers academy and we would offer it many times and no one would take it up, or people would take it up and there would be 2 or 3. And we tried to do an online speakers academy. Part of the issue for us is we have a large country and a small membership. And so you might have 2 in Perth, 1 in Adelaide, 1 in Brisbane, 1 in Melbourne, and no one wants to pay more for an airfare than the cost of the academy. Whereas you look at Singapore and you've got a tiny little area with a large population, they're happy to get together for a day. So, and we have tried different options to do that. And I think Boost has become part of the next iteration for us about like going, okay, let's get serious with this. You've got to get your runs on the board and really take it to the next level to grow a business. So,
how's the Boost program going for enrollments for this one?
Really good. The Boost program kicked off at convention, and I believe they had about 9 people sign up first time round. The Boost program has just had another release, and it's been very well subscribed to.
Okay.
Official numbers haven't been released, but I do know it's been very well subscribed to. So it is working well.
I filled out a Boost application about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I haven't heard anything back from the organisation.
Okay, yeah. Look, I do know it's school holidays, so I don't know what impact that has. But again, email the office for a follow-up. You know, and they'll get back to you. And even if they're just saying, yeah, great, because it's not just you fill in a form and you've signed up. They have to review it and make sure that you meet the criteria. And I'm not sure what those criteria are because I haven't been involved in the Boost program at all.
Sure. It was a transactional experience. In my experience in the world, if I apply for a program, we often get an email back saying, thank you for your application. We'll be in contact shortly, blah, blah, blah. But it was like a black hole. My details went into the website and nothing came back. Okay. And with other PSA things, something's come back within a reasonable period of time. It was like, it's just feedback. It's just feedback.
No, I appreciate that. Shoot them an email and find out where it's at. I wouldn't hurt because it may well be, you know, the internet may have lost it, as sometimes the ether just swallows it up. So best to find out.
Warwick, I've found what we're doing here, to be probably the most helpful. Then, like, I know we have different programs on, and I've been to the free to fee and so on, and even on the Tuesday nights, you know, when we do that once a month, it's great. But online, I don't have to drive somewhere. I don't have to pay for a meal. I don't have to dress up.
Yep.
And we can ask questions. And there's usually a handful of people. It's not 20 or 40 people in the room.
Yeah.
So, you know, this sort of thing has been really, really helpful to me.
That's good to know. We did a series of online webinars for a while, and we charged for them, and they were not subscribed to at all. And so that was sort of done away with. This was brought in because I was passionate about making sure people trying to get to professional members were supported, and this was deemed to be one of the best ways to do it. I do know that for future reference, next month there is no session, but there is one in December, and that'll be the final one. As to what's happening next year, I do not know. So I will take that up with the board and find out what the plans are for ongoing as to whether there's going to be something offered. I know the Boost program does face-to-face and webinars, but as to whether or not we do some kind of virtual meeting with all the other state meetings, not sure.
Yeah, well, I like it. You just get straight into the guts of it, you know? It's like straight in and it's good. I mean, I love the fellowship of the other things as well, but this is...
for sure. For sure. And look, and it's, you know, there's always fun challenges. Sometimes you get someone on a webinar, and I've been on many webinars, where they just waffle on endlessly, and you're like, oh, get to the point. And so my personal style is one of, I just like to get to the point, do it, move on. And if people want to go back to it, there's the recording, they can go to it in more detail. What other questions have we got? Cool. All right, that's it. I just wanted to have a quick chat about the sales stuff. I think we've covered a few things in terms of how to bundle and where to look for some of the different sales. I hope that's been of value to you. As always, I'm at your service. So if I can help with anything, just Google me, send me an email. I'm always happy to help, even if you just want some kind of conversation and talk about where you're at. If I can guide you at all, it would be an absolute pleasure to do so. As I said, November, it's Cup Day down here, and there's a few things sort of going on. So there won't be a session. There will be one in December, and the December session is basically going to be where to from here, and finding out where people are, what you need to be doing. And that'll probably go for a bit longer. And it's going to be essentially Q&A and have some conversations. I'll have some conversations with the board, etc., beforehand, and find out as much detail as I can. Otherwise, I'll just capture any questions and statements on the night, and then get back to everyone about some of those different questions. And all I ask is to have a bit of patience. There will be a little bit of limbo till we work it out. And the fact that it's December, January, which is just a weird time in the Australian business calendar where most of us have holidays and whatever else we do anyway. But PSA is still around. You are always welcome to our events. And I'll still be around if you need any help. So thanks everyone for being here. Again, if you have any questions, catch up with me and it's all good.